Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of the most famous and I think one of the most powerful short poems in the English language. I'm talking, of course, about Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ozymandias. It's incredible, really. In just 14 lines, he tells this epic story of a forgotten king, a statue broken in the desert, and a message about power that is, well, it's absolutely timeless.
So what exactly is this poem, Ozymandias? Well, it's a sonnet. That's a short 14-line poem, and it was first published way back in 1818. And what's just incredible, what's so remarkable about it, is how Shelley manages to capture a theme as huge as the fall of empires, all inside this tiny, perfect structure.
Okay, now, to really get what Shelley is doing here, to appreciate the poem's depth, you have to understand the man who wrote it. You have to understand his world. So let's talk about the poet himself, Percy Bysshe Shelley. He was one of the major English Romantic poets, right up there with famous names like John Keats and Lord Byron. Now, Shelley was fascinated with big ideas, things like freedom and the power of nature. But, and this is really important for our poem, a central theme in his work is impermanence. That's the idea that nothing, and I mean nothing, especially human ambition, can last forever.
So, where did this poem even come from? Well, there was a specific event that sparked it. News was spreading that a huge piece of a statue of the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II was being brought to the British Museum. Now, for the Romantic poets like Shelley, this was a huge deal. They were absolutely fascinated by ancient ruins and what they represented. So this news, it was the perfect trigger, the perfect opportunity to write about one of their favorite topics, how time always wins against human pride. It's important to note that Shelley sets this up as a story within a story. The speaker of the poem meets a traveler, and it's this traveler's tale that makes up the poem. Let's follow it, line by line. So the tale begins, and right away we get this really stark, really mysterious image. The traveler says he saw two enormous stone legs standing in the middle of a vast desert. But here's the thing, they're trunkless. There's no body, no torso connecting them. Right from the start, you get this feeling of something that used to be huge and powerful, but is now just broken, incomplete. And then, the traveler tells us more. Near those legs, half buried in the sand, is the statue's shattered face. And this is a really crucial detail. The expression on that face is one of a frown, a wrinkled lip, and a sneer of cold command. You can just feel the arrogance, can't you? The sculptor who carved this, he understood the king's personality so well that he captured it perfectly in stone. And here's the brilliant part. That expression, the artist's work, has survived long after the king and his entire empire turned to dust.
And then we get to the inscription, the words carved on the pedestal. Listen to this. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. I mean, wow. This is the absolute peak of arrogance, isn't it? He's not just calling himself a king, but the King of Kings. He's directly challenging every other powerful ruler in the world, the mighty, to just look at what he's built and give up, to despair, because they could never hope to match his greatness. So you hear this incredible boast, and then what? The traveler looks around for these amazing works, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing. All that's there, surrounding this colossal wreck, is an empty, endless desert. The lone and level sands stretch far away. And that, right there, is the poem's central, brilliant irony. The king's proud words are completely and totally mocked by the empty reality of the desert.
So, we've got the story, but the real question is, how does Shelley pack such a huge punch in just 14 lines? How does he do it? Well, it all comes down to his incredible skill, his masterful use of poetic form and specific literary techniques.
Okay, first things first. Ozymandias is a sonnet. Now, what is a sonnet? Simply put, it's a poem with 14 lines. It also has a specific rhythm, which we call iambic pentameter. That might sound complicated, but it's really just a pattern. Think of a heartbeat. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Each line has 10 syllables that follow that rhythm. Now think about that. Shelley uses this very tight, very controlled form to tell a story about thousands of years of history. That contrast between the small poem and its gigantic theme, that's part of what makes it so powerful.
Shelley also uses a few key poetic devices to get his message across. Let's look at 3. First, there's imagery. He paints a really vivid picture in your mind, right? You can almost see those vast and trunkless legs of stone. Second, he uses alliteration. That's when you repeat the first sound of words close together. Think about the phrase, boundless and bare. That "b" sound helps create a sense of vast, empty space. And third, and maybe most importantly, is symbolism. The broken statue is a symbol. It represents human pride and how it can fall. And the desert? That symbolizes the unstoppable, overwhelming power of time.
Another really interesting thing the poem does is compare 2 different kinds of power. On one hand, you have the ruler's power. As we see, it's temporary, it's arrogant, and eventually it decays. But then, on the other hand, you have the artist's power, the power of the sculptor. His power is enduring, it's insightful, and it preserves a certain truth. And maybe that's the key takeaway here. Great art? It can actually outlast tyranny. So let's just quickly summarize the central themes we've been talking about. Number 1, the transience of human power, meaning it doesn't last. Number 2, the foolishness of pride and arrogance. Number 3, the supremacy of nature and time. They are always more powerful. And finally, number 4, the irony of fate, how it can take a king's proudest words and turn them into nothing more than an empty echo in the desert.
Okay, so we have this poem written over 200 years ago about a king who lived thousands of years before that. It's easy to think, well, that's ancient history. But we have to ask ourselves, what does this poem have to say to us today, right here, right now? This brings us to our final section. Why does this short poem about a broken statue, written so long ago, still matter? Why does it still feel so powerful?
Well, I think the answer is because its message is completely universal. It's timeless. At its core, the poem teaches us humility. It's a powerful warning against arrogance, a reminder to any leader, or anyone really, that glory is temporary. And if you look at our world today, with its obsession with fame, legacy, and power, you can think of statues of leaders being pulled down, or celebrities who are on top of the world one day and completely forgotten the next. The lesson of Ozymandias feels more important than ever before.
And so, we're left right where the traveler is, with that final, haunting image. The proud words have faded into nothing. The mighty works are all gone. All that remains is the colossal wreck of one man's pride. It's a powerful reminder that, in the end, time and nature, they always get the final say. I'll leave you with Shelley's final lines. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.